Hello and welcome everybody to Let's Play Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced with your host as always, Mah-Dry-Bread. The rules of the Let's Play real quick, so we can get that over with at the beginning. No save state abuse, no using turbo mode. I won't be voice acting what's going on, however I will give the occasional little summary of what's going on for those of you who want to watch this, or listen to it in the background rather. And I will be doing every single quest in which we actually participate in the battle on camera. Off camera will just be a little bit of leveling and stuff to keep the pace of things going. So, without further ado, let's get things going. I love kids in video games. Who acts like this? Oh, get to pick our name. Oh, I guess I will rename it then. For those of you wondering, yes, I have played and beaten this game before. I've beaten all of the Final Fantasy Tactics games, and I know I'm inevitably going to be asked. Inevitably going to be asked what's my favorite. You know what? I'll just do MDB because I don't think the whole thing's gonna fit. There we go. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. I love all three of them, and they're all quite different. Although, I guess the PlayStation one's the most different. I kind of get a kick out of how apparently in this world, this is a thing that teachers set up. Snowball fights. I don't know about you people who don't live in countries where it snows, or at least places in the countries where it doesn't snow, but I live in Canada. Every teacher ever will tell you, you're not allowed to throw snowballs because they can injure people, they can have pieces of ice in them. Normally I just kind of skip through these tutorials and teach it myself much quicker, but since they kind of do it in character, I thought I should leave this, in. Now, as far as I'm aware, you can't actually lose this snowball fight. But little attention to detail I love in these games. They actually make classes and everything for just this little tutorial fight that you'll never see again. You'll never see any of this again. But they put in the effort, you know? I like that. New kid, it's a class! Does everyone have a... I don't remember. I believe there's a way to switch through them quicker, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Alright. We'll check more, then we'll get going on with the fight. Alright, let's get this fight going. So, like they said, you can move or attack in whatever order you would like, and after your action or your move, whatever thing you do second is when you pick what direction you're facing. No rocks, please. Yeah. And of course, ooh, critical. Still only did 1 damage, but it knocked him back a square. I don't think they've taught us criticals yet. Your chance to hit against them is dependent on what move you do, their evasion, and what direction they're facing in comparison to you. So I threw a snowball at him head-on. He has the highest chance to dodge that, of course. Whereas from the sides I have a little bit of a bonus, and from behind I have a large bonus to hit. No one can really win this fight, so... I believe it just goes enough turns and then ends. This is just so you get a feel for the controls. And you see I've got a 75% chance to hit from the side. From behind, I believe it's 99. I don't believe there are moves in this game that are ever exactly 100. Unless it's a move specifically made to never miss. Even then, I'm not sure if there is one. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, at least. Little confusing thing that the game does at this point is that the color schemes of the characters, it makes it look like some of them should be on the enemy team and some others should be on your team. Usually the blues and greens are your team, and the reds and purples are your enemy team. Especially confusing if you've played a game like Tactics Ogre, which I have also Let's Played. And Tactics Ogre uses that red and purple color scheme for enemies, blue and green for you. Should actually be 1 panel closer so I can... Yeah. There we go. And I believe you can't actually have anyone die or run out of health and faint or any kind of thing like that. Okay, she's on my team, right. In this fight, I've actually, as an experiment once, had all of my guys team up on Moot. And he did not fall down. Two. I saw 3 people throwing it. You know, I can see a kid saying that. That's it for... That's class? Okay, I guess that's phys ed for them. The one yellow house that exists. Oh god, he looks cool. I always thought that was a weird line. Yeah, and hear a lot for being the new kid, apparently. Oh, that rocking pot on top of the, stove is bugging me. I like those little character animations they do, like when he pulls out the book, and just for a second he looks down to make sure he's like pulling it to, pull it out of his coat. Just the little touches I really like in these games. Latin magic. I like him. I think I've been asked that on Formspring before. Oh my god, I forgot about this line. I pick Final Fantasy. That game is wonderful. You should go out and buy it. For those of you just listening in the background who wonders what all that noise was, basically what's happened so far is we had a snowball fight at school where the new kid quickly learned how to fight by doing that, met Moot's son, set up how the characters act and everything, talked about a magic book, and now, while we slept, we have been transported into a magical world that looks oddly like Final Fantasy. Well, kind of like Final Fantasy, I guess. Vaguely. Whoa, it's racist. I just love that. It's probably the most racist thing in this world. It's like the first thing that comes out of your mouth. Ah, that music. Alright, it's time to be in our first kind of real fight. Again, you can lose this one. It's really hard to lose this one, but you can. Alright, just to, which button is... No, that's the list. Whatever, I'll check later. Every single day has different laws, you see. Under your action menu, you always have fight, which is to use your weapon, and you have 2 abilities depending on what you've learned from your jobs. That'll be explained a little bit later. But what they were saying about laws is every day there is at least one thing that's forbidden and one thing that is heavily rewarded. Today it's items, so if we were to use an item, which we can't anyway, it would get us banned from the fight and give us like a penalty, depending on how severe what we did was. It's a fun mechanic in this game that can get really annoying at times. Mont Blanc here is a black mage, by the way, so he casts basic elemental offensive magic. And whenever you get a kill, or a knockout, you get a judge point. Now, it'll be a while before we can teach all of our people how to combo. the main character starts off knowing. Everyone else you have to teach, and it can take a while. You'll notice that unlike Tactics Ogre, people don't automatically counter when attacked in melee range. They have to have an actual reaction ability that allows them to counter. And that's a warrior ability he has, First Aid. Warrior is the Banga equivalent of the human's soldier class. They have very, very similar stats and abilities with a few key differences. I'll be talking more about the job system in detail a little bit later, probably on the next episode. The job system is one of the things that makes me really love this series. Kind of happy that Mont Blanc made all the kills. I want him to be getting more experience right now. I don't want to level very much as a soldier. What your stat growth every single level is dependent on what class you are when you level. So I'd like to be a more powerful class when I really start to level. That way I get better stats. Although a soldier doesn't get necessarily weak stats, just very weak in magic. That's just explaining the law system real quick. So, now we know that if one of our people ever get arrested for breaking a law, we can go there to get them out. Although there are penalties, of course. Dude, that's just messed up. I like how Mont Blanc decides to bail out this random guy who, for all he knows, is just some racist kid. Dude, you're kind of a dick. He's talking to you, he's clearly not a stuffed animal. Normal things like dogs, because, dude! God! I know, you're just thrust into this fantasy world, but don't say that they're normal and no one else is. In this world, that's really offensive. You'd think you'd pick up on that pretty quick. I completely forgot that it wasn't just you get sucked into the storybook, it's literally you get sucked into Final Fantasy. It's been a while since I really paid attention to the plot of this game. I really like the game, though. I hate in games when a race's dialect is just they say one word over and over, and they often just replace random words with that word. It just makes me think of snarf. It's dumb. Now, as someone who lives in Canada, I'm very good with French names, as we have two official languages, English and French. Wonder how many people say Mont Blanc wrong, because they just don't know the name, they've never encountered it due to not being in a French-speaking country. It's kind of like how everyone says Iroquois wrong, they always say Iroquois. I live here in Ontario, you know, with the Iroquois, they're called Iroquois. If they call themselves Iroquois, and there's a French word that's pronounced Iroquois, it's Iroquois. Sorry, just little tangent. Bugs the hell out of me. I play a lot of Civilization. The Moogle in the bottom right there, with the purple cap, kind of looks like a mugger. You really want to hire this kid who doesn't know anything? He could name like 2 of the races in this room right now. Well, maybe 3, because human. It's not even a clan yet. If you don't have a name, how'd you register it? Man, no one else got that kind of deal. Nutsy! I've always thought that's dumb. You know what? I have another one that's probably dumb, but I like it. This is what I've always named it, and I'm not entirely sure why. I just like Clan Blue. Ah, the world map. And I think this is about where we want to end it for today. There's a little bit more. I can skip through that narrative stuff there. And you actually get to place new locations on your map. And I like to place these 2 side by side, so I have 2 very safe areas to go back and forth between. So, here in Cyril, this is kind of the main city that you start in. Pubs, of course, are where you get quests. Shops is where you buy and sell items, get equipment. And the Monster Bank is if you have a Hunter, which is a human archer-based class, you can capture animals and you can keep them in the Monster Bank. If you go over to... I'll figure it out between episodes. It's another pub, another shop, and the prison. And the only other place that we start with here are the plains down south, which is where we'll find the first quest. Every time you go to a different panel on the map, another day passes, as you can see in the bottom right, where it says King Moon, those are the months. Clan funds are, of course, our money. This is the whole world map. It's not huge, but it's big enough. I think it works very well. And eventually, usually a quest or 2 in, I think, random clans and monster groups will start appearing on the map and walking around, and you can do fights and encounters with them to level up outside of just doing quests. I'll be doing a lot of that off-screen. I'm probably going to be staying ahead of the curve a lot in level. That way, we can breeze through the episodes a little bit quicker instead of them taking a very, very long time. Quickly, before I forget, I want to show you that if you hit L on this map, You can see the current day's law, which is poison's forbidden, recommended is bind. Recommended means that you get a free judge point just for using it. And if you hover your mouse over your mouse, or your cursor over somewhere you need to be, you can click L and see what the rules will be the day that you arrive there if you go straight there. This is really important that you always want to check the laws well ahead of time on a quest before you do it, to make sure it's not something that'll really fuck you over. Like, let's say that forbidden was swords when I got there. Well, the majority of my team might use swords. I might be pretty much useless. And I know this is a bit of a long episode, but if we go to party, we can see this is our entire party so far. It's of 6 people, and I believe you can only take 6 people in a quest with you at once. So we will be filling out the clan a bit more and switching people in and out, using some people for dispatch quests and, you know, using whoever's most useful for whatever situation. If you have a more than a team of 6 people, it will require a little bit of micromanagement, you know, leveling up the people so that they don't lag behind, but I'll take care of all of that off screen, so you're not going to sit through any of the boring stuff. It's just quest by quest. And of course, I want to teach the game to you guys while I play, so that you guys can have an informed decision on whether you want to buy the game or not, and I very much recommend you buy this game. You can probably find it on Amazon for $5. So we, of course, are human. Gender doesn't matter in this game. Gender is not any kind of requirement. We are a soldier to start with. And these are all the jobs we can pick. As we pick these jobs and we take weapons, we get job points at the end of every single mission. Every quest, at least. And I believe you do get a few just for winning an encounter. And those will teach you new moves, and you can mix and match classes that way, of having 2 different classes' abilities, the one that you currently are, and another one of your choice that you've learned from. So say, if I were to learn some basic black magic spells, I could be a thief and use some black magic. Of course, my stat growth will be in thief, and it won't be very high in magic power, but you can mix and match that way and come up with interesting tactics. With your main character, he is clearly heavily built, as you can see from his stats, in physical power, which means you could get him down archer and hunter path and become powerful that way, but as most people do, going down the soldier path and going for paladin and fighter is what I'm going to be doing. It is usually the best choice, although giving him blue mage as well can also work. My magic power isn't going to be very high overall, so I'm thinking I'm going to go into mostly fighter and paladin, and I might dabble in blue magic a little bit with him, although I might reserve that for another character. Mont Blanc, as you can see, is clearly built not super heavily, but more built for magic, so it does make sense to keep him in magic. In fact, I will be keeping him a black mage. We have another soldier here, who you can make whatever you want. I want to make him a thief, actually. And I will be having him go down more of a thief and ninja path. I don't believe he starts with any skills, no, so we'll have him with item as his second ability. And we'll give item to the main character as well. So thieves are physical classes that aren't particularly powerful, and we'll be buying him some equipment that he can wear soon. We'll throw him with some chain plate for now. And if you hit R, you can cycle through and see on this right path what you can learn from this. If a red mage or a juggler wears this chain plate, then for 300 aptitude points, I believe it is, or job points as I call it sometimes, you can learn catch. Which is, if an item is thrown at the person, or an arrow I believe, they catch it instead of getting hit by it. It's situational, but it can be nice, and of course the armor itself has its own defensive value. I'll be buying him a knife so he can start learning how to steal things later. Thieves can run pretty fast and jump pretty high, all around magically very weak, physically a bit weak. However, they're good for being able to traverse a lot of terrain, and their stealing abilities can be very good. Except for Steel Gill. We have a Banga here. They tend to be very physical classes. You can go down the warrior path or the white monk path, and of course you can mix and match both if you want. They don't have very many classes in this game, the sequel added more. The white monk unlocks us a bishop, which is their only mage class, and the Templar, which is kind of a spell sword. He's almost like a mage killer, very powerful one. I'll be getting into that later. And the warrior will lead us to Defender, which is kind of a paladin, a very tanky class. and Dragoon, and I believe also Gladiator, which is kind of a damage-dealing class, a lot like the Fighter for the humans. And Dragoon is a spear user, has a lot of abilities, a little bit stronger magic-type attacks like Fire Breath. I will be going more into White Monk, who fights with gauntlets. And he's got a lot of interesting abilities. Next we have, and I believe this race is called New Mu or something along those lines. I'll refresh myself a little bit later between episodes. They are a pure mage race. Very, very powerful. And very, very useful. I'll be having him as a white mage probably for the majority of the game, because you always need at least one powerful healer, and the white mage is what that's for. You always, always, always need someone skilled in white magic on your party. So, he'll be one that I'm training in. I think I might also train him in something like, perhaps, Sage Skills, or Alchemy. Some kind of powerful casting that has some effects along with it. And lastly, I completely forgot this race's name, Vera, or something along those lines, an all-female kind of bunny person race. And for her, I believe I'm going to get her down the assassin tree eventually, which is the longest one to get to for her whole race. She does need some sniper skills, which requires archer. I believe I need to teach her a lot of things, actually, so right now I will keep her as an archer. And her archer class is the same as the human archer class. And we're going to be keeping our main character soldier for now, so we can get into paladin and fighter. So that's a quick little run over on what we have. Before I forget, of course, I'm going to show you how to use the shop. It's very, very simple. You just simply buy. And as you progress through the main story quests, more things become unlocked in the store to purchase. I am looking for the knives here. Steel shield, steel accessory is a very good one, and we do have the money for it. So we actually want to learn that first. And a jackknife is dirt cheap, so we'll hold on to that just to learn more thief abilities later, because it's learning more abilities that unlocks more jobs, not particularly being stronger. And either than that, there's nothing I really feel the need to get right now that I can think of. Archers can learn how to block all incoming arrows with the green beret, so I think I will actually get that. And I believe, yes, that's all we really need right now. Because I believe our characters are already equipped with ability teaching items, like the short sword, which will teach our soldiers first aid, which is an ability that heals a tiny bit of health, but it gets rid of weak stat problems, like for instance, the affliction poison or blind. A useful little ability for soldiers to have, although I won't be keeping him as a soldier for very long. So let's just go and equip our people before we forget. I want her to have a green beret, and equip her reaction ability of block arrows so she cannot get hit by arrows anymore. Which is nice just for archer versus archer fights. And of course, equip you with that new knife. Which means if we were to go under steel, we now have steel accessory. And once we have enough aptitude points of 300, that's enough that we've mastered the ability and we can use that even when we're not a thief. It's to steal the accessory, and when you steal an item from an opponent, you actually get to keep it. It's not just to get rid of the enemy's item, it's also for you to keep it. So that is the main power of thieves, is their higher-up daggers, skills that they get taught, are very, very powerful. This has been a very long episode just because I have a lot to explain early on, and I want to really show... I want to give an idea of what the game is like, to show if you're interested, then of course you can keep watching, and you know kind of what this is going to be like. If you are interested in watching this in a playlist, the playlist is in the description. If you're into this kind of games, I've also done Tactics Ogre, which is by the same people. It's an ogre battle-based game that's like this. I'll also have a link to that playlist in the description. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this very long episode. I'll be doing an episode of this every single weekday until the Let's Play is done. And, until next time, have a nice day.